Dive into the dynamic world of entrepreneurship, innovation, and business with Caplander, hosted by Jody Thielander and Morgan Thielander of J. Thielander Consulting. Whether you're invested in the private capital markets, building your own venture, or curious about the entrepreneurial spirit, this podcast unpacks the latest trends, insights, and opportunities shaping today's market and the people driving what's next. Caplander connects the dots between personal and professional life because how you do anything is how you do everything. Featuring expert guests, deep discussions, and a dynamic mother-daughter duo, Caplander is your go-to resource for staying informed and inspired. Hi.
Hi, Morgan.
We're together.
How fun. We're up here in the Blue Ridge Mountains.
In North Carolina.
Yeah, our family, second home from your grandparents now for almost 20 years, which is so fun.
I know.
And we've gone from being, at least me in Miami, wearing shorts and, not literally being able to take a walk because it's so humid out already.
Hot.
Yeah. And here we are in like shearling and fleece and scrounging around for long sleeve shirts.
I know. Seriously, I'm not wearing what I originally planned because it didn't have a long sleeve shirt underneath.
Let's talk about what we travel in.
I mean, right now, today I traveled in compression socks. So that's
you
my
laugh
new,
about it. Compression socks. Actually, I remember wearing those, and I think they're a little bit of a guilty pleasure because once you start to wear them, you're like, on a plane with the.
I've been getting nauseous on planes, so I needed something to help
the blood circulation,
yes,
keep everything up. Yeah.
So, today was easier, and I was eating my breakfast, lunch, and dinner at 6 a.m. sitting in the St. Louis airport. So that's how my day began. But I like to be dressed for an airport.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of other people who are dressed for an airport.
Well, I see more and more now a lot of like the grout fits, the gray outfits, like
yes.
the sweatpants and the matching.
The sets.
The sets have gotten easier because you can buy them everywhere from the Gap to Aritzia to more expensive. But I wear the Skims, the Kim Kardashian stuff when I go to the pool, and it's really easy and it does not have to break the bank.
I like an outfit that you're comfortable in, but I think that you can be comfortable and still look put together.
Totally.
And also the luggage game is strong now because a lot of people have the sets with the luggage, like Shay Mitchell has the Bay brand, and that has the bag that matches with the suitcase that sits on top. And
I've got good old Toomey, which is like, ballistic missile hardware. And at this point, I'm hard pressed to change it because
you're in it.
And it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I think I paid like $700 for a suitcase that was 40% off. The Toomey stuff is crazy. So I'm committed down that lane. I went down the rabbit hole. I've got the matching bag that goes on top. It's just that it is a little more ordinary. But anyhow.
But it's a set.
Yes.
It is a set all the same. And I think the reality is you can even, when I was in Chicago a couple of weeks ago, buying a stroller, which is a whole other saga, the Away store had colors for kids' suitcases that also had the matching backpacks, all in fun colors.
I'll buy that for my granddaughter.
Yeah, that was really fun, which I do have to say on the stroller piece of this, I had a whole conversation with a VC partner who is also in her third trimester pregnant girl. First baby girl, the whole thing, similar age. And her question to me, she's like, how was your stroller experience? Like, what did you end up getting? Like, it's a whole saga. And I asked
and they're expensive, right? A stroller is more expensive than a suitcase.
She said that buying a stroller was like buying a car because you want it to last through, if you're planning on having more than one child, all of these things are like, have different configurations that you can start with one kid, but you kind of have to think about, okay, well, what if I had two kids? What if I have a toddler and a newborn baby? What are the different configurations? That for me goes above my pay grade, but my husband was, I think, any store's worst nightmare.
Because he's an engineer. Everything is why, how,
how.
Questions.
And also he wants to see everything in action. Like the answers just does not suffice. It needs to be, can you show me?
I actually give him credit for this because as much of a pain in the ass it is up front, it is actually, you get down the road when you buy some of these things and you're like, oh, I didn't get that part. I
Right.
didn't know this. And I'm the
Right.
type of person who just is like, great, let's buy it. And then I find out later
Right.
on that there was a certain utility. That's
Right.
I'm that way in general.
Right. Well, that's really where there's all of these different brands, like the Nuna and the Uppa Baby and the Bugaboo in particular, like 3 of these
Right.
premium brands. So, whole
Anyhow,
thing,
moving
yes.
right along.
Moving along.
Moving along from the stroller situation, which
Yes.
most of us really don't give a shit about, but
I wanna talk about something we did not cover last week in our intro, which is about headcount and what's going on in I think that private companies in general are having a whole shakeup in how companies are being started, how companies are accessing funding, if they're accessing funding at all at any
well,
point.
they're saying they can do more with less in every front. So I think what we
Right.
saw from this is that companies with 25 people or less, that category is growing versus the
Yes.
larger headcount is going down.
Smaller.
Right.
Right. And this has been talked about in so many different media sources. I mean, there's been a lot of different, we talked about entrepreneurship that came out in Axios article. The Wall Street Journal has talked about entrepreneurship being on the rise. Like you name it, and it's been a conversation. I just read a whole piece talking about the Poppy. She's no longer the CEO, but who is the founder.
Right. The drink company that was
Right,
bought.
acquired by Pepsi for $1.95 billion.
We like that B.
Right, and she was another Shark Tank similar to Kaylin, who's been on our podcast, and they really talked about how founders now can do so much more with so little because of AI has made marketing available, and things that used to have a higher budget
Right.
no
You couldn't
longer
afford to get
exist.
it.
I mean, this is what's been coming out. LinkedIn is laying off engineering, product, they're slimming operations, and I think that the
Yeah, there was
next
a list of all these companies, everyone
Right.
laying people
And
off.
what I wrote from my notes to say is that I think the next wave of CEOs and founders is going to look fundamentally different going forward. I think the whole market is just completely evolved in ways where the media and the articles that are coming out talking about it is really skimming the surface of what's really going
So what
on.
do you think a new CEO is going to have to be like?
I think that you have to be very smart and strategic about who you hire. I think that having access to legitimate compensation data and having thoughtfulness surrounding compensation and how that fits with an option pool and a salary structure and a job architecture is going to be the difference between a meh company and a great company.
We mean a private company.
I'm talking in the startup
I think
world.
even the option pool is a little bit too sophisticated, but we spoke with one of the lawyers and they have this conference in Palo Alto, and she said they're not even covering compensation in the 1-day conference anymore because they don't need to promote that line of business because
They're so
they're
busy.
so busy.
Right. And I think this is
We're busy.
Right, and I think this is part of it because if you're going to hire less people and you're going to give those 5 people versus those 15 people meaningful equity, they have real skin in the game. They have a real incentive to be committed to the success of the business.
Well, I think more importantly and equally important is that it's also about the talent that you hire, how
Right.
you compensate them, and then since they're going to be fewer people, they need like literally a ground to be able to have multiple skills and really evolve as people.
I also think that while the companies are going to change and the way that CEOs are going to have to be different type of leaders, I think that venture firms are also going to have to evolve. And I saw this in particular with Lightspeed. Lightspeed Ventures hired a partner, and then also she had an entire platform of like 350,000 plus followers. And they're talking about the convergence between media and investing and how important it is to really have a platform to be able to reach customers to that the
Why
way
does I'm not understanding the venture firm to have a platform to reach customers?
the venture firm understands the intersection of investing and media.
Yes. Well, this is like back in the day when Vogue magazine understood the intersection of fashion and Hollywood and celebrities.
Right.
It's the same thing. Okay, I want to talk about my guy Wemby, by the way, from the NBA, because he basically, first of all, they say in this Wall Street Journal article that they're not sure how tall he is. They said, we still don't know exactly how tall he is. Big men are notorious
Don't they have to say how tall they are?
about revealing their true measurements. There are times, especially on defense, when he wraps an opponent's layup like an octopus. yes, that Wemby looks like he's easily 8 feet tall. And then they talk about the fact that it wasn't hard to look at that long, lean body and wonder if he was rugged enough for the NBA. And this is like a CEO, athletes, CEOs. It's all the intersection of making sure that you are competitive, because he basically shoved somebody with his elbow at a game. And then he was taken out of the game. He was penalized. But basically, everyone's been poking him because they feel like, oh, you can poke the big guy.
Right.
And now he decided, because they were saying in this article also, is that he spoke quietly, he played chess and read books, and we still don't know about it anyways. He entered the NBA as this tantalizing mystery, this multilingual polymath international with spectacular height and point guards ball handling. And now he basically, 40 different ways that he has arrived, because this week he felt like a breakthrough. As an MVP candidate, he came of age on the biggest stage, delivering numbers, highlights, importantly, attitude, and putting the rest of the league on permanent notice.
Yeah.
And I think that is what it takes to be an entrepreneur, to be an athlete who plays to win, to be competitive. It's all the same now. You can't just be running on one cylinder. You've got to run on multi cylinders. And if someone fucks with you, you've got to be able to fuck back and say, hey, you know what? You're going to poke me. I'm going to jam you up.
Right.
I love that all day long.
I mean, I think this is part of it, where we had a lot of conversations last week, or this week rather, with colleagues in the space, and they're talking about how software is dead, or people don't want to use platforms, and all these things are changing. And I think that's part of it, where as a founder, and this is Poppy, the soda company, she was like, she's like, oh, I was talking to a founder, and he's like, well, after work, I cold plunge and I sauna. She's like, so you're not serious.
Yeah.
If you're doing all this other shit, you're not serious.
Right.
Because if you're not
He needs some me
living,
time.
breathing,
No me time.
thinking about this, like
Right.
basically, like it's like the poke. It's like, oh, you're gonna let that like take it, and people didn't like
Yeah.
it, and they're like, well, because if you hear something that somebody says and you don't like it, it's probably because there's truth to it,
Yeah.
and it's hitting you in a way where you're like, instead of just whacking that thought away, that's probably the best time to sit
Pay
with it for a
attention.
minute and
Yep.
pay attention and be like, am I actually doing the most that I can? And I think, I'm a big Peloton member. I'm like a silent member, but
Do you still have a bike? I think
yeah.
you do, right?
Oh, I ride my bike like 3 times a week, and I take the same type of class every time.
Right, where they're talking to you and they're telling
No,
you.
I take the, like, absolute hardest classes I could physically get my hands on. I take,
Is
like,
that getting harder for you?
it is getting harder for me. It is getting much harder for me, but I take, like, if I'm gonna get on the bike, I want maximum results for my amount of time. I don't
Right.
want a 45-minute class where they're
I
gonna
agree with you.
the whole time. I want 20 minutes of
Get in, get
Tabata
out.
intervals.
Right.
And, like, there's 2 instructors in particular, Rob in our zone, who's, like, a very well-known instructor. She's been on board with them from the beginning, and she talks about the squeeze. And the squeeze is,
Has
like,
to be worth the
minimum.
juice is the what is it? The juice is worth the squeeze, or the
Right,
squeeze is worth the
exactly. And
juice?
she says a lot of it, she's like, in between intervals or sets or whatever it is, when there's a little bit of recovery, she's like, the problem is you want it to be easy. That's the thing. It's like you're looking for an out. She's like, instead of fighting it, you gotta feel it, and you gotta just be like, this is gonna
I had
squeeze
that this
me.
week when I went to the pool to swim, and they had shifted from the 25 meters to the 50 meters, so the
Right.
long course. And initially I was like, "Ah, I don't love this." And then I thought, all the more reason why I
do it.
should do it. Yeah, because it's twice the distance and it's a completely different headspace that you have to get in, because you're paddling and paddling.
It's
and
longer.
It's longer.
You don't hit the wall.
Right.
You have twice as far to go before
Right.
you get some relief
Love
of
that.
a flip turn.
Right. Love that.
Well, you also swim with fins, so, like, you do have a little bit of an
I only,
advantage.
okay, that is just throwing shame. I swim with fins because it spares the shoulders. You cannot be doing this. I use 2 different styles of fins, one that don't really help so much.
Like, I asked you this when I swam next to you a couple of weeks ago when we were in Miami together, because you were, like, on your side, like, kicking or something, and I was like, "Where did you learn this?" And you were like, "I made it up."
I made it up. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm innovative. I
Right,
made
and you
up.
could see that all the way to the pool. You really are the definition of how you do anything is how you do everything, because
Yeah.
you can see in the pool,
I
you're
made
like,
things up. People
"Do
ask me
anything?"
all the time if, like,
Right,
they
"What are
can.
you doing?"
Right, I could be an instructor.
Right, so the other part that I really was thinking a lot about this is that obviously you're an entrepreneur and you're an innovator. I'm somewhere in the middle because I'm not an entrepreneur in the sense that J Theater Consulting is not my business.
Yeah, but you have come up with many ways
I have
to
an
tackle
innovative
this.
mindset.
Yes.
I'm like,
And you also don't have a don't back down
no, I
mindset.
don't wanna be fucked with, and I'm really I like offense, like, I'm very strategic in the sense where I like to look forward, and I like to be and I can connect dots in ways that
Yes, and you're always thinking about
yes,
this.
I am always quite literally, I'm always thinking about
Right.
this, and one of the things that I was really thinking about in particular of it is, like, when you have in a work environment or you have a what's going on with private markets in general right now and how fast things are moving. That I think about so many of the people we've talked to and their ability to that pivoting.
Yeah.
And also last year, I think the way that you felt the squeeze with the pool this week, I have felt the squeeze because we released 9 platform enhancements last year. We have another platform enhancement that's being pitched right now, but it's done. And I feel like it's slept on. And that squeeze of that moment of like you refine language, you put things out, you tailor, and we're nimble. We are able to do things quickly and evolve. And I still feel that squeeze in the point where you're like, what the fuck?
I know, but the thing of it is that you're not always as patient. I think this is
No,
where
it is my
you don't have me, I'm very patient because I know if you plant it, it will grow. Not everything will grow, and it may be surprises where it
right.
comes, but I do know that especially when you have a 30-year business, I know this just in general because
Yes.
most people, like what you're talking about, the when the Poppy CEO was talking to somebody else who was in the plunge pool and busy doing other things,
Right.
most people are lazy and most people cut corners. And then coupled with a lot of that, people are stupid. And we are none of it. We don't have to be the smartest. But where we lack in intelligence, we make up for in the fact that we are extremely ambitious, dedicated,
Right.
loyal, and we will work endlessly to get it done.
Yeah.
And we don't try and rely on the fact of where we went to school or only the people that we know. We
Right.
rely on the fact that
Grit.
we are in it, and it
Yeah.
really grinds our axe if something's slipping.
Well, that's also you have a lot of faith in the process and you
I have
have
faith in myself and
right.
I have faith in you. And I have faith knowing that when that phone rings, we answer it. When an email comes in, we respond. When someone needs something, when our
Right.
platform needs upgrades, you know what? We find a way to get the money and
Right.
the resources and we do it
Yeah.
because I know full well that if we invest, it will come because we run a good business and not everybody does.
Right.
And I see this because everyone's talking about, oh, I want AI for everything. And the truth is, you don't. You can't have AI for everything. You have AI for a lot of things coming, and we're going to be adjusting for that as well. But the reality is, when you are in a white glove service like this, like, do you think Ferrari's going to have self driving cars?
I'm not even gonna answer your
It's
question.
not true. No way. The
No.
whole point of a Ferrari is to drive the car. It's
Well,
not
it's put together piece by piece.
correct.
Right.
So we're the Ferrari of this.
Yeah.
That's how I think of us. And
Yeah.
does the car break down? I mean, we know someone who has a Ferrari, and that car's been on a flatbed and towed because it happens.
Yeah.
But
Look, I just finished the Noah Khan documentary on Netflix. I'm a fan, of his music, and he said, he goes, "I've always had faith that I'm where I'm supposed to be in that moment."
even if it sucks,
Right,
even if you're
exactly.
someplace like
It's
you were
actually
saying,
especially if it
well, that's
sucks,
so. I think
because that's
we're
really the
getting close to good way to wind up because
well,
I think that's it.
I think the last piece of this though too is also the grit of it is that there's such a common thread too, like again, like Robin at Peloton classes and this Poppy CEO or the
And our
whole
guy
thing.
Wemby.
Right. I mean, the Wemby is not included in this one because also these women are mothers. And
Oh.
you and I have had a lot of conversations, especially as my due date gets closer. And I think naturally, like having the first child, once that seal is broken and like you are a parent to a child and you have less time in a day and you want to make sure you're getting the most out of your
You
time.
may want to get you want to get the most squeeze.
All right, I'm trying to get the juiciest lemon and I'm
If
trying to
you're gonna
get as
squeeze it,
much out
you
of it.
want it to be
Right,
a
I'm gonna
good
white
one.
knuckle squeeze it.
Yeah.
Right, and I think that's part of it is that there's an idea. And I talked to a girlfriend yesterday who's very ambitious, very career driven, and she's like, does not have children yet. And she's like, I have this fear that it's going to have to be a trade off because she's in more of a corporate position. And she's like, I'm going to have to step away. Like, I'm required by my company to take take paid time off. Like
Right.
there's no, if you take any paid time off, you have to take.
Can't work.
You can't work. You have to
Yes.
take the
I've heard
maximum
this
amount of
before.
time. Like there is
Right.
no, like
Versus
they lock
you,
down your computer.
yeah, you're going to be starting
I'm in the hospital, be like, did you
yes,
see the email that came in?
you're going to want
Right,
to, in my
like-
opinion, from
right.
having done it exactly that way. It's the fact that you get to choose, and you're not, you're not curtailed by formality and structure where you feel put in a back
But I
into
think
a
that's a
corner.
piece, actually, that came in a question ahead of time we had from somebody, was what your advice would be to, if I was not your daughter, and if you're talking to somebody else who feels this uncertainty going into it, because it's unknown. It's the
I've had
first
this.
time.
I have had several women where I've had conversations with them along the way where they've circled back to me and said that conversation really made a difference in my mindset, where they were either thinking about having a family, or they were pregnant, or they had the first child,
Right.
and they asked this exact, my input, or what I'm looking back,
Right.
hindsight being 2020. And I think that it is the best thing is to be busy. I mean, we talked to somebody yesterday who said
Right.
that like one of the first times she had time, and what it was 4 o'clock, and she said she already had made dinner and she was like ready to kill somebody because. So I think that you will enjoy it thoroughly. And I think there are times you're going to be, exhausted.
Squeezed.
Yeah, you're going to be squeezed, and
Yeah.
the juice is not coming, like you got the wrong lemon. But that's part and parcel of anything that you do.
Right.
So I think that don't have to be compromises. But like, we had a colleague who told us this, not everything has to get done. It's where you might have to learn a little patience.
Yeah.
Not everything has to get done all day long, every single day. And you might have to realize, today, it's like that T-shirt that I have, "Not today, cowboy," because up here in North Carolina, that's my home. The Mama tried and not today, cowboy.
Right.
So
There
I'm
we
going to
go.
have to get those. I'm going to have to get you a Mama tried T-shirt.
Literally, because I have not
Waylon
today,
Jennings
cowboy.
or whoever it is.
Right. I do wear that one to the grocery store, and I do get some, and especially now that I am very visibly pregnant, it does get a good chuckle from people because they're like,
yeah,
we can tell.
All right.
We got it.
Until next time.
Yeah, until next time. Thank you for joining us today for the Caplander podcast. If you loved this episode, share it, and make sure to subscribe to Caplander for more conversations like this.